Continuing the Keanu-thon reviews. Today talking about reviewing the 1995 flick, Johnny Mnemonic, which stars Keanu Reeves. You also have Dolph Lundgren in the film, which is weird because his name's on the cover, but he's not in the film that much. Dolph Lundgren. A little bit here and there, and then more so in the final act. He plays this villain, this psychotic priest. But as for the film itself, rewatching this again, I like the film, but I don't love the film. It's weird. Keanu, he's good in some parts, and there's some other parts in the film where his delivery of dialogue is kind of stiff. But when it comes to Johnny Mnemonic, I will say it does have some really cool visuals, especially at this time. And I would also say a little bit ahead of its time. And, the same year this film came out, you had some other cyberpunk, type of films, thrillers like The Net and Hackers that came out the same year. So really interesting, year for that type of film. And I don't think this is Keanu's worst. I know some people say that out there about this film. If you want to see some of Keanu's worst, go back and watch Babes in Toyland, which I did a rant on, where he sings the song about Cincinnati, or however it goes. To me, that's way worse. Another film I talked about, Under the Influence. To me, that's worse. But I still like this film. And, what's weird is that this film takes place in 2021, and the plot deals with a pandemic, a virus, which is eerie. But getting into the plot itself, sort of going off here too, but again, it's 2021, and the world is connected by the internet, and, you have some aspects of, VR in the film, virtual. What the fuck? Not now, Hootie. That was my alarm. Yeah, that was Hootie. But back to what I was saying. The world is connected by the internet and virtual reality type of stuff. And almost half of the population is suffering from NAS, nerve attenuation syndrome. And if you're not treated, you get symptoms like, you start having the shakes and stuff. And our main character, Johnny, played by Keanu Reeves, he's a mnemonic. And he's a courier with a data storage device implanted into his brain, allowing him to, carry sensitive information from, place to place. And long story short, you have this one scene where these scientists, they plug information into his brain. You have the scene where he's in the chair and he's like, hit me. We all remember that scene. So the scientists, they're putting all this information into his brain, overloading his brain, really. And he has to transfer this information, sensitive stuff, and from Beijing to Newark, New Jersey. Meanwhile, you have this pharmaceutical company, Pharmacon Industries, and they're supported by the Yakuza. And the Yakuza is trying to go after our main character, trying to get that information. And meanwhile, you have Dolph Lundgren's character in the film. Again, he plays a psychotic priest, like a preacher, and he's after Keanu's character. And that's pretty much the plot of the film. Again, Keanu has a stuff in his head that they planted, and, he's trying to get it out. Meanwhile, you have the Yakuza that's after Keanu Reeves, and Dolph Lundgren, who's this psychotic character preacher. And you have some other characters in the film, like, I forget the character's name, but Dina Meyer's in the film from Starship Troopers and Saw. I forgot the character's name, it's leaving me, but she's sort of like a bodyguard or some type from the streets, and she helps out the main character. You also have Henry Rollins in the film as his character Spider. I thought he was good in the film, and especially this one scene where, um, which was like weird, because this one scene where Henry Rollins is working on the girl Dina Meyer, and he has this little bit where he talks about how, well, Keanu's asking, what caused it, for her to, spaz out and shakes and stuff, because she has this virus. And Henry Rollins' character has this piece of dialogue, little monologue. He's like, this causes it, this causes it, this causes it. Information overload. All the electronics around you poisoning the airwaves. Technological fucking civilization. But we still have all this shit because we can't live without it. And it just, interesting dialogue because, you think about nowadays how we can just, within seconds, we can search something, and, we're so attached to this type of thing. And again, it just makes you think about. That's why this film is interesting now, because we talk about how Demolition Man is, is what the future is going to, it's going to be like Demolition Man, but this is a little bit more closer. And, because again, it takes place in 2021 and stuff like that. But, getting back to what I was saying about the cast, Henry Rollins is good in the film. Dolph Lundgren, again, he plays a psychotic priest, and, he comes in probably around the second act of the film. It makes it think, like, and that's the thing about the film, that it makes it seem like Dolph has, is one of our main characters. But, like, he comes in the film, like, he comes in around the middle of the film, and then a little bit here and there, where he kills some people, because he's hired by this Takeshi guy, or Takashi, this character, to hunt for Keanu Reeves. And again, Dolph is not in the film too much. And then when you get towards the end of the film, that's where you have the final act, and where, Keanu's trying to fight Dolph, and meanwhile you have this other dolphin in this tank, and they're trying to, and the dolphin's name is Jones, and that's where it gets a little weird, because Dolph Lundgren's character is pretty much killed by a dolphin. So the Dolph gets killed by a dolphin. Where they have Dolph Lundgren's character, trapped, and, this dolphin has like this little headpiece where it's like something to do with the satellite over here. Dina Meyer, aims the satellite at Dolph Lundgren, and the dolphin is wearing this like helmet type thing and is shooting out like these different waves, and it's killing Dolph Lundgren's character, and then ultimately he gets fried by Keanu Reeves. It's a weird scene. So, yeah, Dolph Lundgren's character is getting killed by a dolphin. But, Dolph Lundgren, he was good in the film too, as a psychotic priest. You wish that he was really the main villain and not just brought in around, the hour mark or whatever. Because like I said, he comes in like the middle of the film, and after that you see him here and there. You have a scene where he kills Henry Rollins. Like he crucifies him, but Dolph is not in the film that much, and he plays a very interesting character that I wish he was the main villain. And he would have had, maybe you could have had this all-out fight between Keanu and Dolph. That would have been cool. So yeah, John Wick versus Ivan Drago, you could have done that, but he was still good in the film. Udo Kier as his character Ralphie, didn't really care for that character much. Which the way he gets killed is interesting because, and what's cool in this film, they have this weapon, and it's like some kind of laser whip, where they do this, like, you pull out and do like that with it, and it's like a laser whip. And they kill Udo Kier's character with this laser whip, and like you see his body like sliced up and it falls apart, and a really cool effect. I will say that really cool special effects, all practical. But the cast, I mean, and then you have Ice-T in the film. Almost forgot about him. Plays this character, I think J-Bone, and he's kind of this leader of this rebellion group, and trying to expose the bad guys pretty much. But yeah, Ice-T is in the film, so it's cool to see Ice-T. And again, he plays this rebellion leader type character. But I mean, like I said, really good cast: Keanu Reeves, Ice-T, Dolph Lundgren, Dina Meyer, she was fine. Henry Rollins is his character Spider. And what I was saying before about Keanu, while there are some parts in the film where he's good and I don't mind Keanu, but I will admit there's some other parts in the film where, again, the way he delivers some of the dialogue is kind of stiff, or like, trying to think of another word. Stiff, I can say that. I mean, stiff is a good word, but I was trying to think of another word. But like, he'll turn his head like that and kind of respond in that kind of way. What in the fuck? Turn that off. But what I was saying before I got... Thank you, Darius. But what I was saying... But, with Keanu, again, there's some parts, where I don't mind him in the acting. But there's other parts where it's like, where, for instance, in this beginning where, he's talking to Ralphie, that character, and he got some weird dialogue like, how about it, Ralphie? You said you locked down a date for me, like, for the procedure. What's the fucking score here? And, like, some of the dialogue he has with the Ralphie character, But I will say, the one scene that stuck out, and everyone talks about the one scene where, Keanu is standing on the hill talking to Dina Meyer, and you have a really cool monologue, which is funny. It's fun, but entertaining monologue by Keanu Reeves, and I actually wrote it down right here. He's like, listen to me. You see that city over there? That's where I'm supposed to be. Not down here with the dogs and the garbage and the fucking last month's newspapers blowing back and forth. I've had it with them. I've had it with you. I've had it with all of this. I want room service! I want the club sandwich. I want the cold Mexican beer. I want a $10,000 night hooker. I want my shorts laundered like they do at the Imperial Hotel in Tokyo. I know I'm probably, sound crazy doing that. But, yeah, it's a crazy scene with Keanu, and it's an entertaining monologue. So, again, while Keanu, he's on and off in the film, but, again, you got some cool moments like that where he, gives the monologue, I want room service! And, I want to get on, there's this one scene where he's like, I want to get online. I need a computer. So, yeah, I mean, but I still like Keanu in the movie. And again, it's not his worst. Go watch Babes in Toyland if you want really bad Keanu, or Flying. That's another one. Go check out that one. But I know the guy who directed this really didn't go on to do much. This guy, Robert Longo, he directed an episode of Tales from the Crypt. He directed, apparently, the music video for the song The One I Love by REM. But he disappeared after this. And I know it was written by William Gibson, fictional writer of, like, cyberpunk type of stuff. And, yeah. It says right here, I wrote this down in my notes, Gibson's dystopian view of the future, with the world dominated by mega corporations with strong East Asian influences. And also, a little fact, this was Dolph Lundgren's last theatrical released film until The Expendables. So, yeah, a little tidbit right there. But like, okay, as far as some of the trivia, um, just a few things to mention. The script was rumored to have been dumped on the doorstep of Keanu Reeves' house, a tactic that piqued his interest and led to him accepting the role of Johnny. Another one is, according to William Gibson, the movie was re-edited by the producers in order to make it a more mainstream movie. The Japanese release is said to be closer to the director's and Gibson's original vision. At one point, Christopher Lambert was in contention for the lead role. I wonder what he could have done, Christopher Lambert in this film. Um, and, like in this film, Keanu plays a man who smuggles data, from cyberspace. And I forgot about that because there's some really interesting, like, the visuals in the film, which I almost forgot to talk about, but you got some cool little scenes in the film where, like, he's in this VR type of world and kind of going through the internet, and he has this, like, visor piece, and he's doing like this, and really cool. Again, really cool visual effects for that time, and even today it still looks very interesting, almost like anime type of effects, and the way that the cyber world looks and how he's going through the net and VR style, and I really like that. Um, but of course, a few years later, the Matrix, his character is a computer hacker who learns that he's been living in a computer program. So this is kind of like an appetizer for the Matrix, and the unbounded spread of the internet in the early 1990s and the rapid growth of high technology culture had made cyberpunk increasingly relevant, and this was the primary motivation for the studio's decision to fund the project. So, along with the net, and well, I mentioned that already, but yeah, so I mean, interesting, trivia there. Budget was around 26 million. It made 52 million at the box office, so it made a little bit, but not too much. I don't know when it came out. I want to say, was it May? Let me look here. I just want a release date. Yeah, May 95. So, yeah, it came out in May 95. But, yeah, I mean, I was trying to think what else to mention because I did write some stuff down just to kind of help, but I mean, yeah, the film, like I said, does have some weird scenes to it that makes you go, what? Like the Ralphie character and his bodyguards in the film, and that little bit in the beginning where they knock out Johnny Mnemonic's character, and Udo Kier's like, watch the head. But I mean, aside from that stuff and, Keanu's acting on and off, I still like Keanu in the film and Dolph Lundgren and Ice-T. And, Dolph Lundgren being killed by a dolphin, it's weird, but John Mnemonic, at the end of the day, again, I like the film. It's a fun, how can I put it? Maybe like a fun time waster, like decent flick with some really cool visuals. I will give it that. Keanu, good in some parts and some crazy ideas, like crazy parts in the film. Dolph Lundgren as a psychotic priest. He was, even though he's not in the film that much, Dolph, but it was still cool to see him in the film. And again, really cool visuals in the film, and really interesting to see what they what they were able to do back even in 1995. So, yeah, John Mnemonic, again, still a decent flick. So, decent sci-fi flick. But that's my review of Johnny Mnemonic. And next up, I will be I'll be reviewing A Walk in the Clouds, so stay tuned for that, and we'll see you later.